This is the Week 3 edition of the Cortland Gridiron Report. I'm Steve Cucci here for WSUC 90.5 FM The Dragon. Of course, I'm joined here by SUNY Cortland Red Dragon coach Dan MacNeill, entering Week 3 versus Kean. But first, we'll stop off and look at last week's game. The Red Dragons defeated the Rowan Profs 24-14 in a game that proved to be really a tale of two different stories between the first and the second half. What does a game like this show in the character of this team, particularly the defense, who shut out the Profs in the second half?
Yeah, well, it showed a great character for the entire team. I mean, defensively got very stingy, obviously, in the last 35 minutes of that game. So, I mean, it was exactly what we needed to do. But I would tell you probably it was a most complete game all around. Our special teams did a super job. Our defense obviously stepped up and limited the scoring, and we reached our goal there. And from an offensive perspective, we put the points on the board that we needed to win. So a very gratifying win from a head coaching standpoint.
How impressive has defensive captain Brian Wiley been, who had a game-high 15 tackles, 3 for losses?
After we looked at the film, he probably even had more than that. He just had just a great game. I mean, the defense, to a certain degree, is designed for the two defensive ends in our three-man front to make a lot of plays. But you got to make the plays, and he certainly did all of that and more. I mean, just a real impact player for us, and was our defensive player of the week, as chosen by the coaches.
All right, and so the victory over Rowan also seemed to be bittersweet late in the fourth quarter, holding a 10-point lead on 2nd and 18. Quarterback Dan Pitcher went down with apparent ankle injury. What can you tell us about his status?
Yeah, it's not good. I really feel bad for Dan. He's had 2 super games, obviously waiting in the wings behind Ray Miles, transferred in here from Colgate, where he sustained an shoulder injury there and had a labrum fix, and now he's unfortunately facing a season-ending injury with an Achilles tendon. He'll be up with the doctors in Upstate Medical this morning or this afternoon, and then he'll have to get a scheduled surgery, which will end his season.
Okay. And so, going into that, in the 2006 season, the Red Dragons lost 3 quarterbacks on the depth chart. As you mentioned, Ray Miles relieved Alex Smith. In both the 2006 and 2007 campaign after season-ending knee injuries, do you feel more prepared mentally from a coaching standpoint in handling season-ending injuries at the starting quarterback position, just based on past experiences, or?
Well, I mean, it's certainly been a little bit of our history where we've sustained some attrition at that position. But, it's never a good thing. But as I told our players, it's as disappointing as it is. You close ranks, as is what the Army calls it. You know what I mean? When you have sustain a loss, then you just tighten up everywhere else, close the ranks up, and so that you can kind of move on. And we need to do the exact same thing here. Coaches are working diligently to change the offense to now best suit the number 2 quarterback, Hudson, and and continue to search our program for answers in terms of what continues to make us an offense that's tough to defend. So that's the order of the day. That's the way we're going about it. Has history prepared us? I think probably wisdom is always a good thing. Unfortunately, I'm an old guy with not a lot of hair and gray temples. So, I've been around and experienced this before. Does that help? Yeah, I think it helps. But it's just something you got to work through.
Now, looking at Hudson Woodward, you talk about being a new quarterback. How do you prepare the offense this week with a quarterback under center who hasn't really taken a lot of snaps as a starter until basically the last 5 minutes of last game?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to note that he was a starter for the Rochester scrimmage. He was the starter through most of preseason camp. So I mean, he's a capable kid, and did a quarterback, and did a nice job for us. He's not Dan Pitcher. Obviously Dan was the starter, but he is now our starter now. So we have you know, in the backup role that he's experienced at this point in time, has to prepare him, and now we have to make sure we select the offense and mold the offense that best suits his ability. So that, you know, that's what we're in the process of doing right now. He's good. He's capable. He's you know, certainly somebody we believe in.
All right, so the Kean Cougars come in with a 1-1 record overall. Victory last week over Westcon, 31-24 in the first game of their NJAC play. They did it on the road. What are the keys to victory in the final game of this 3-game homestand?
Yeah, I mean, they're again a very talented team. Very, from a defensive standpoint, you know, we have to stop a very multiple offensive attack and a very talented, very accurate quarterback. Talented, and he's quick and can get out of trouble and make a, you know, a play that's not there into something positive. He throws well on the run. He throws well overall. He's very, very accurate. And, you know, and they have obviously capable offensive guys. So they got a nice little engineer in him. So we got our hands full defensively. You know, offensively, you know, I think we just really got to make sure that, again, we close the ranks and prepare our offense that best suits who we are at this point in time. And obviously that's the guys taking the snaps. But they're capable defensively too. They gave up some points against Westcon and their first game in Del Val. But you know, we got to be able to put enough points up to beat them.
You mentioned how talented the quarterback is. Cortland defeated Kean on the road last year, 32-28. Kean quarterback Tom DeBrizzi completed school record 34 out of 48 passes, 352 yards and 3 touchdowns. And last week, DeBrizzi completed 15 of 26, as you mentioned, for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. So are all eyes defensively on stopping DeBrizzi going into the week?
Well, yeah, you know, there's no question he's a talented quarterback. He was the rookie all-conference kid a year ago, and that's because he not only drove us crazy throwing all those passes against us last year, but, you know, a number of other teams. So he's talented. Are all eyes on him? No. I mean, you got to defend what they do. They have a running attack and a good passing attack. So we have to be complete, like our defense is capable of doing, and shut down and limit the scores that they get.
And then lastly, you mentioned the concerns of the kicking game coming into the season. Mark Corrado made all 3 of his extra points last week versus Rowan. He also made a 21-yard field goal as time expired in the first half. There have been some rumblings that you might have added a walk-on kicker. Will he be any kind of component this week, or is that something that's going to be...
No, we definitely embraced a young man who we thought in the walk-on tryouts was pretty capable, that could develop. He has a soccer background, nowhere is near ready to kick for us at this level. I think he's got a future here potentially, but you know, Mark is our guy, and he did a good week this past week, and you know, now we just need to keep that consistent theme going with him, and you know, utilize that weapon where it's best, where he's best at.
All right, Coach, so I thank you for coming down here again and joining us. Best of luck against the Kean Cougars this week on the final game of the Homestead before you start on for a long road trip. So we'll see you next week.